Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, April 3rd meeting of the Hoover City Council. We're glad you're in attendance. We'll call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Council President Leda.
Here.
Council Pro Tem Posey. Councilmember Driver. Here. Councilmember Sweeney.
Here.
Councilmember Murphy.
Present.
Councilmember Middlebrooks.
Here.
Councilmember McClendon.
Here. Thank you. Have a quorum present. We will proceed. If everyone would please rise for the invocation to be given by our clerk and remain standing for the pledge to be led by Councilor Driver.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today. We thank you for being here with us and for protecting our citizens, our community, our visitors, and our employees. We thank you for just watching out for us, and we also thank you for just watching out for those that have been impacted by the tornadoes and also by the school shooting last. And I just appreciate you just being with those families and comforting them. I thank you for just giving them strength as they go through this. And I thank you for just being there and just making sure that they're able to get the help that they need to move through this. And we thank you for these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we customarily do, we will begin with the report from the mayor. I know he has some special guests and proclamations. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity to come to speak before the council and the audience. And tonight we have a number of proclamations. The first one would be Fair Housing Month, and we have a number of realtors here. Ann March, if each of you would come up, we'd love for you to just come up and stand before the council there. Janet Ham, John David Turpo, Lillian Perez, our own Richard McLemore, and Shannon Wilkes. Birmingham Area Association of Realty's Communications Director, Ashley French. So I would ask the city clerk if she would take and read this resolution for the audience.
Whereas on April 11, 2023 marks the 55th anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, which enunciates a national policy of fair housing for all who live in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, and national origin. And whereas fair housing is a positive community good. And whereas economic stability, community health, and human relations in all communities are improved by diversity and integration. And whereas the fair housing is integral to the ethical commitment of members of the National Association of Realtors and the Birmingham Association of Realtors, it is critical to the ability of all real estate professionals to serve their clients and customers and communities. And whereas acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity are repugnant to the common sense of decency and fairness. Now therefore, we, Frank V. Porcato and City Council President John B. Lida of Hoover, on behalf of the Hoover City Council, do hereby declare April 2023 as Fair Housing Month in Hoover, to establish Hoover as an inclusive community committed to fair housing and to promote appropriate activities by private and public entities intended to provide or advocate for equal housing opportunities for all residents and prospective residents of Hoover. Presented this the 3rd day of April in the year of the Lord, 2023.
The Fair Housing Act was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson as part of the 1968 Civil Rights Act. So with this, we celebrate the 55th anniversary of this act. The mission of the Realtors is to uphold the Fair Housing Act and root out discriminatory behavior in housing. I want to personally thank the City of Hoover for passing this resolution and standing with the Birmingham Association of Realtors. We have a lot to celebrate, but also have miles to go, so we thank you.
So, as I was getting ready to present our next proclamation, I thought I'd thumb through the Hoover history book. And not surprising to me, there's a family, the Michaels family, that goes way, way back. You can see I got a lot of pages marked here for the Michaels family. I mean Papa, Mama, of course Dan, been really instrumental in starting our city. They were instrumental, as we'll read in a minute, a number of organizations that they were charter members, even your mom. And for a long, long time now, the Michaels family has served the city of Hoover. And tonight, we want to recognize Dan for his service that he provided for so many years on the Board of Zoning Adjustment, which is a very difficult, I've always said our zoning board and zoning adjustment are by far the most difficult boards to serve on, because you probably get fussed at more than anybody, and you have to make really difficult decisions. But before we read that, I just want to tell you thank you. And we will ask you, and I think you've got Jackson's here, Griffin, and Greg, and Mike. Would y'all come up? Would you like to read this proclamation?
I'm used to sitting in this chair.
Whereas Dan Michaels is a longtime resident of the city of Hoover and was in the first graduating class of the W.A. Berry High School, and whereas he drove a school bus and was in the Boy Scouts during high school and worked at Philmont Scout Camp in New Mexico before attending Auburn University, and whereas after graduating from Auburn University, he joined the Air Force and became an F-4 fighter pilot. And whereas during his tenure in the Air Force, Dan served on active duty and in the Air National Guard from 1967 through 1994 and retired as a lieutenant colonel and continues to fly with the Civil Air Patrol. And whereas he is the beloved husband to Kathy Michaels, to whom he has been married for over 50 years, and is the proud father of 2 sons, Greg and Mike, and is a devoted grandfather to 8 grandchildren and step-grandchildren. Whereas throughout his residency in Hoover, Mr. Michaels served the city of Hoover in various ways, and whereas he was past president of Alabama Youth Soccer and started the Hoover Phantom Youth Soccer League, and whereas he was a volunteer firefighter for Hoover in the early days and is a past president of the Hoover Chamber of Commerce and a member of the Kiwanis Club. And whereas Mr. Mike has diligently and faithfully served on the Board of Zoning Adjustment for 20 years and has served as chair since June of 2016. And whereas during his tenure he was always fair, unbiased, and open to hearing all points of interest. And whereas his professionalism and leadership have inspired many other board members who have served with him over the years. And now, therefore, I, Frank V. Gorcato, and City Council President John B. Latta of Hoover, do hereby present this proclamation to Mr. Dan Michaels in appreciation for all the contributions that he has made to the Hoover community and for 20 years of exemplary service as a member of the Board of Zoning and Adjustment. Presented this the 20th day of March in the year of the Lord, 2023.
Yeah, the last time I came to a city council meeting, which has been I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I was sitting over there, and the mayor walks up to me and goes, "Here's to the first down." So I did a little better tonight. Thank you.
Dan, I have a party gift for you as well. For all your many years of service, you get to take your nameplate with you. Also, if I could add to that, one of my favorite history stories from the vast number of history stories that the Micas family have done for the city of Hoover. Mr. Edward Micas, the late father of Dan, started his insurance business in Hoover in 1967. I know he was very proud that both Dan and his grandson are also in the business, but my favorite Edward story was the fact that he ran for the first ever city council for the city of Hoover in 1967, and he lost by, was it 1 vote?
1 vote.
And his neighbor didn't vote? Did your mom vote? And his mother didn't. So my colleagues need to know that there's been heartbreak in Hoover elections since day one.
Good story, thank you. We do, thank you, Brent. All righty, next it is a great honor to bring up our public safety telecommunicators. It's National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, so we would ask Emergency Communications Manager Michael Knight and Colin Nelson, Supervisors Beth Stanley and Shay Hess, Kim Jones, Melissa Overall, Susan, I should have checked you how to say your name before I got up here. I didn't say it for me.
My dad.
There you go, like that. And Desiree Cash. And we have our 911 Center Emotional Support Dog Willow, who's right here. And our 911 Director, Linda Moore. And gosh, what a great job they do. Handling some incredible emergencies each and every day. They need a sweet little dog like that down there that they can pet and enjoy. So I would ask our city clerk if she would please read the proclamation.
Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, and emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Hoover Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety communicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety communicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety communicators of the Hoover Emergency Communications Center have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now therefore, we, Frank B. Brocato and City Council President John B. Lyda of Hoover, on behalf of the Hoover City Council, do hereby declare the week of April 9th through 15th, 2023 to be the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the City of Hoover in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Presented this the 3rd day of April in the year of our Lord, 2023.
Chiefs, y'all wanna come down? Y'all wanna get a picture, chiefs? Police chief, fire chief. I've never seen dirt shy. What's going on? So, as you know, Linda is our 911 director, and what a fine individual she is, and a great leader, and we're so grateful for all the things that she's done and continues to do in our 911 center. You know, every year, Mr. President, we have the firefighter and dispatcher and police officer of the year, and they show a film, kind of like an action film. And the police departments is pretty gritty, and the fire department's pretty gritty, but when the 911 operators show theirs, it brings tears. I mean, it's just like overwhelming what they hear and the emotions that they deal with, and remain calm throughout that entire situation. And they help fight fires, they deliver babies, they treat heart attack victims, everything in the world that we deal with as police and firefighters, they deal with it much sooner and do it in just a remarkable way. And it's through her leadership. And Linda now is the first dispatcher in our history to receive the emergency number professional from NINA, which is the National Institute of 911 Associations. And it's a great honor that she has gone through this work to achieve this. And it's not only just checking some boxes, but she's demonstrated over her career what an outstanding operator she has been from the day she started as a 911 dispatcher to the day she stands before us as their director. And so we want to all congratulate you.
Thank you, Mayor. We're honored tonight to have Miss Mindy Wyatt with us tonight. Miss Wyatt has been working on a comprehensive park and green space plan for the city for the last several weeks, and she's here tonight to give us an update on that.
So you're a tough act to follow, so thank you for having me. You do have a written report in front of you. I just want to draw your attention to a couple of things. We will begin a public engagement phase beginning on April 10th. This will begin with a soft launch into our Hoover neighborhoods, homeowners, apartment complexes via an email distribution. Try to reach out to all of our citizens and open a survey up to our citizens through an email distribution and networking event. On Celebrate Hoover Day, April 29th, the survey will open to the public. We will have a big kickoff event as part of Celebrate Hoover Day. We'll have some interactive activities at the event, a separate tent where folks will be able to come in and see the different phases and some of the different ideas that the consultant will place in front of us for consideration. There'll be some activities for the public to take part in and to begin to kind of offer feedback, and that will serve as input into this plan as we go forward. We get a media blitz on May the 1st. That will be to advertise the survey as it's open to the public. We want to drive people to take the survey and participate in the activities. And then we'll have 4 town hall meetings that'll take place the first 2 weeks in May. We're still finalizing those times and dates and locations, but there'll be 3 in-person meetings to take place at various locations, and then we'll have 1 virtual meeting. The team and the steering committee went to visit with Singing River Trail on March 9th. It was a very interesting and informative visit. We got to hear from folks who are working on a regional trail in North Alabama. It was an incredible learning opportunity for us and our team. We had about 15 people participate between steering committee members, project team members, and some economic development guests. Regional trails are really a big economic driver to a region, and this is something that's one of our focus areas with our reports. And then finally, you'll see some special interest group meetings, activity reports. We're continuing to meet with special interest groups as they come to us, as you guys help us identify them, and as we identify them through our stakeholder engagement activities. We're certainly willing and open to meet with any group that would like to talk with us. The purpose of these is just to hear feedback, their general ideas, and general activity. And you'll see reports of our 6 meetings that we've had so far. Won't go into details on any of those, but just know that we'll bring those activities back to you so that you can be aware of the conversations that are taking place as we move forward.
Thank you, Ms. White. Before we begin our agenda, I do want to recognize 2 former council members that are in the chambers tonight. I'd like to welcome back Mr. David Bradley, former council member, and Mr. Joe Reeves, who's here with us. We also have several of Mr. Michaels' colleagues from the Board of Zoning Adjustments. If you guys would all stand and be recognized, please. We're glad to have you here. Welcome. We will now get to our agenda. The consent agenda is presented as items that are deemed to be routine by the mayor and the body. These items will be read and voted as one block vote. There will not be any discussion of these items prior to a vote, unless, of course, we have someone here who would like to speak on one. So I'll begin by asking if there's any member of the body who would like to have items 1 through 6 removed from the consent and moved to regular. We'll be happy to do so. Is there any member of the public here who would like to speak on items 1 through 6? If so, we'll be happy to move that. Seeing none, we will now have a reading of all the items. Ms. Daniels.
Minutes from the January 12th, 2023 work session and the January 17th, 2023 city council meeting are submitted to the city council for approval. Resolution number 6915-23 approves an alcohol license for Eterna Pizzeria LLC, doing business as Capella Pizzeria, located on 4700 Highway 280, Suite 13, for the sale of 040 retail beer on or off premises, and 060 retail table wine on or off premises. Resolution number 6916-23 also approves an alcohol license for JX Enterprise, doing business as Mr. Chin's, located at 1917 Hoover Court, for the sale of 040 retail beer and 060 retail table wine. Resolution number 6917-23 approves the revision of the classification plan and adopts a new pay scale for public safety employees of the city as detailed in the resolution. Resolution number 6918-23 amends the city's budget for the fiscal year ending September the 30th, 2023, as shown on Exhibit A attached to the resolution for both personnel and non-personnel items. Resolution number 6919-23 appoints council member Casey Middlebrooks as the city's voting delegate for the Alabama League's annual business meeting in May 2023.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second. We have a motion and second for approval of the consent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We'll now move to our regular agenda, beginning with item number 7, resolution 6920-23. Ms. Daniels.
This resolution authorizes the acceptance of a bid for a truck-mounted LED video screen from ScreenWorks NEP for an amount not to exceed $23,800, and authorizes Mayor Brocato or his designee to execute an agreement, as well as any documents necessary for the execution of this agreement.
Motion to approve resolution number 6920-23.
Second. Motion and a second. We have Ms. Erin Cobal here. We did not get to discuss this item at our work session on Thursday, so Ms. Cobal, if you don't mind, update us on this, please.
Yes, good evening. This is our temporary video board unit that we use for the SEC baseball tournament. That week will be the week of May 22nd. And as mentioned, we had 2 bids for this item, ScreenWorks and BS Creative. ScreenWorks was the lowest bid at $23,800 and meets all the requirements, of the bid.
Any questions for Ms. Koval? Any questions from the public tonight? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 8 is ordinance number 23-2598. Ms. Danielson.
This ordinance amends the ICC A117.1-2017, which is the standard for accessible and usable buildings and facilities, to incorporate additional universal design standards to promote universal design in the city and to encourage a more accessible environment for all.
Motion to approve ordinance number 23-2598.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt and a second. This does require public hearings. We will open the public hearing and ask any member if they have a question or comment about the ordinance before us. Seeing none, is there a member of the public here who would like to comment during the public hearing portion? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Sweeney.
Aye.
Councilmember Driver. Aye. Councilmember Murphy.
Aye.
Councilmember Middlebrooks.
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton.
Aye.
Council President Jalaya.
Aye. With 6 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. Item number 9, ordinance number 23-2599. Ms. Danielson.
This ordinance modifies section 6-28 of the municipal code to amend the International Energy Conservation Code.
Motion to approve ordinance number 23-2599.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. This does require a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing and begin by asking the body if they have any questions or comments tonight. Any member of the public here to comment on the ordinance? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sweeney.
Aye.
Councilmember Driver. Aye. Councilmember Murphy.
Aye.
Councilmember Middlebrooks.
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton.
Aye.
Council President Layla.
Aye. It's a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays. The motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I want to ask the members of the body if they have any general comments tonight. Any member of the public here would like to comment tonight? Very good. A short order meeting. Thank you all for being here. We're adjourned.